Nerds of the friendly neighborhood variety. What is up? Looks like nobody's in the chat yet, which is good because we can only go up from here. Below zero. There's no negative audience.
Yeah.
How are the two of you doing? It's good to see you, Robo and G. I feel like it's been a while.
Yeah.
I've been busy.
It's almost been exactly a week. Yeah.
Yeah,
Usually we do these every 2 weeks, and now it's just 1 week.
Yeah.
That was the curveball we threw, Chris.
Whooping. That's right. Curveballs. That's what we're all about. What about you, G? What's new?
Nothing.
How was your new free comic book day?
Oh, I had a really good free comic book day.
Yeah.
We went to we normally go to this really great comic book store in Minneapolis called Source, and they have like a sister store called Uncle Spen's.
Uh-huh.
But we just never went to that one. Right. So we're like, let's go check out Uncle Spen's. And it is like the most adorable, teeny tiny little comic book shop. Like we had to wait outside because there were too many people.
Yeah.
So then we finally get in, and it's just like it's next to this restaurant, and it looks like it's like the closet for this restaurant. It's just this one like little loop. Like there's an island of trades in the middle, trades on one wall, new stuff on the other. And this little old man who's just like, is this your first free comic book day? I'm like, we've been here for 40 years now. I'm not Uncle Sven. Like, Judah, this is the place you need to go. Like, you love this guy. Yeah. There's no risk here.
Sounds like my kind of sounds like my kind of place.
That story would have went way different if it was a store in Nevada.
Yeah, he's just a wholesome, like, comic book old man who started working there when he was a teenager.
Cool.
If this had been a shop in Nevada, how would it have gone, Judah?
Hey, welcome. Hey, yeah, check out the comics. Yeah. So we don't have any of that fucking SJW libtard bullshit. Yeah. We have here are manly comics with huge fucking titties and all white people. So
and enjoy. Actually, he specifically was like, we don't have comics with huge titties. So
really,
he's like the exact opposite.
Like people don't buy them, and like we want people to come in with their kids.
That makes sense.
Makes sense.
Which is funny because the one who was giving Judah the most like, hey, let's pray over you thing had like porn sculptures in the back on the shelves and shit.
Yes.
Why is it 0% surprising?
Right, exactly. All right. So just real quick, before we'll let some people come in here and then we'll just take off with the show. But what do you got going on this week? Do you have any like good ideas for what movies you're gonna be playing in the server?
Let's see. As by request, we're gonna have Freakazoid.
Oh, there it is.
Ooh,
Monday.
I love Freakazoid.
So yeah, that'll be I think going pretty much all Monday. So just like stop by whenever. And then next Saturday by Michael Malone request, Highlander marathon.
There it is. Nice.
Oh,
marathon.
Yeah, it's nice. I don't know if you saw. This is a 5-movie collection.
Holy shit!
Whoa, that's pretty epic.
So thank you, Cadot Community Library.
Ben apparently really loves Highlander, and I've never seen any of them except for
My sister is a big fan.
You've never seen any of them?
So
That's
it's a movie
that coming from you.
It's a movie that was always on TV growing up. Like it's always playing on TV, so I would catch snippets. I've seen scenes from a Highlander, but I've never caught it from the beginning and watched it through. I mean, you remember before
number one.
You remember in the old times when most movies you saw, you just caught them on TV, and very rarely did you see the beginning. You would just be like, "Well, I guess I'm starting this in the middle, and I'll try to figure out what happened."
That's right.
You ever see a movie uncensored for the first time, and it's like a completely different movie?
Yeah. My favorite is when they don't bleep out or take out the sound. It's when they add another word, like
oh yeah, like you son of a bread.
Yeah.
You mother frunder. Yeah.
Like they don't even care to try to match the sound of the voice.
Yeah, it's not even the same voice.
Minimum effort.
It's so funny. I love that.
So speaking of Sandman.
So speaking of Sandman, what do we got today? We are on volume 4 of this series. It is Season of Mist. I'm gonna just go ahead and enlarge in myself. So
Well,
so that I can show this and gorge myself. Yeah, here. So, Season of Mist. This is the version I have. I got this back in like 2006.
Yeah.
There's a chance that
we have. I think we don't have the same version.
Oh, we don't. Let's see yours. Let's take a look at yours real quick. All right. There we go. Oh wow, yours is nicer. Wow, that is nice.
Very shiny.
And Robo, you're still on that omnibus, right?
Yeah. So I've noticed something. Let's see. Let's do this number right here. There's the downside to giant, oversized, beautiful books, and it's that they don't fit on my shelf.
Oh boy.
So they're sitting up there. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you. I'm reading it on
It more so just looks like that's where you keep like the books of powerful magic.
That's right.
No, yeah.
You don't want to go up there. You're not ready for those.
You're not ready. You're not ready for that level of magic. Yeah. Cool. So this book, this is volume 4. It's written by Neil Gaiman. The art is from Kelly Jones, who we saw in the last volume, Mike Dringenberg, who we saw in the first volume, Malcolm Jones, again from the last volume, Matt Wagner, Dick Giordano, George Pratt, and then P. Craig Russell. Letters from Todd Klein, colors from Steve Oliff and Daniel Vozo, and then the covers, the beautiful covers, might I add, are from Dave McKean, who he's been doing a lot of the covers for Sandman so far, and you also might remember the interior illustrator of Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on Serious Earth by Grant Morrison. So a lot of talent in one place here. Another kind of interesting detail that I sort of thought was worth mentioning, the title, Season of Mists, was taken from the opening line of English poet John Keats's poem To Autumn, 1920. It is also referencing Hobbes' toast. Well, we'll get to that later. We'll get to that later, but it also comes up later in the story. So anyway, before we even get into these summaries, and I made them pretty brief just because there's so much that it would be like too long. So they're just kind of big picture summaries. What did you think? Did you like this volume? One of you?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this your new favorite, G?
Yeah, I think it might be.
Yeah, it definitely moved into number 1 for me.
I think that's gonna be a theme with me, is that each one we read is my new favorite.
The law of recency is actually really powerful. So yeah.
Even law of recency aside, it feels like the creative team and Neil Gaiman, let me try that word again, specifically, it feels like they've warmed up. You know what I mean? Like it feels like they were kind of like building this world, getting used to this world, and now it feels like they've really hit their stride with this world and these characters.
Danny, what's up?
Yeah.
It felt good getting back to Dream, because like we've been kind of just around Dream, and I know I've been enjoying that, but like in this one it was nice to just like he's back in the driver's seat of the story.
I'm glad you brought that up, because you mentioned last episode that you kind of preferred the stories where Dream is almost like a side character, or like kind of like an influence on the outside of the main story. But this is a very Dream-centric book.
Right?
So did you change your mind?
It was also great.
Yeah.
I think I just like both. I'm not changing my mind. I'm just expanding it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Nice. Cool.
I think for me, like, so maybe it's them hitting their stride. Maybe it's them, trying something new. But I'll be honest with you. Whenever I read graphic novels that read like prose with pictures, it's kind of like I almost would rather read the prose, right? Like Neil Gaiman's Norse, I think is like right there, right? So I would rather just read Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology. This volume, like the first one, read like a comic book, where I got to see the pantheon, and I got to see the ridiculousness of Thor's caricature. And so watching Lucifer and the angels, and we'll get into the details, but this felt like still Neil Gaiman, right? So still powerful and well written, but reads like a comic book, and I think that's always going to kind of, grab my attention.
Definitely, definitely more sequential art and less narration with pictures.
Yeah.
So
What's
this
up, Michael?
first. Oh, what's up, Michael? Oh, sweet, and Danny. Wow. Yes, thank God you guys are here. So this first section, so a meeting. So Destiny, who we're sort of meeting, we're not meeting for the first time because he was hinted at in previous books, but this is our first time really meeting him. He's walking through his garden of paths, and he meets up with the Fates, who we've met before. He calls them the Gray Ladies. They tell him of a meeting that he must hold, surprising him, though he finds it mentioned in his book. So he calls the meeting because I guess it's Destiny, so he has to. And it's all of the siblings, and this is really where we first get to meet all the Endless minus one. We'll get to that a little bit later. So this is the first time they've all gotten together in 300 years. The last time they met was when Destruction abandoned his responsibilities. So Destruction is the one of the 7 Endless that's not there. Once the Endless have gathered, Desire taunts Dream about his horrible treatment of his former lover, Nada. And before this, we kind of get a little personality snippets of each of them. Like Delirium is super fun here because she's just nuts and it's awesome.
And high as fuck.
And I thought it was kind of interesting how Delirium used to be Delight. That's something that's something I don't remember from like 15 years ago when I read this. So I want to kind of see if we can like extrapolate meaning from that. But
and it also doesn't like being called Delight. Like
doesn't like being called Delight anymore. She's definitely Delirium now. And then we get all the ones we've already met. We see Desire. We see what's her name? The sad one. Despair. Yeah.
Yep.
So we see Death, who we already love. Desire is basically fucking with Dream, which is what they do. About his horrible treatment of Nada, which we remember. She was in the doll's house. So Death talks to Dream and surprises him by agreeing with Desire, which I thought was a really great moment, by the way, because she's like, yeah, but you did fuck. Desire's a dick, but you did fuck up. So Dream has this epiphany, realizes he's in the wrong, so he vows to set things right, and he leaves. Death returns to her siblings to continue the meeting, and then Destiny tells her that there's no further need. Like, he's like, okay, very abruptly, well, I guess this served its purpose. The meeting's over. So that's that. Dreams decided to return to hell to rescue Nada, and that's the end of that portion. What did you think? Tell me.
Dope.
Yeah.
The whole time reading this, I was just like, I couldn't stop thinking about like how happy I thought you were going to be about like, so they're finally addressing Nada, because you keep bringing that up, that like, remember that he left her in hell. That was a pretty shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
And then, finally someone is like, she literally says that was really shitty.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
She's not kind to him about it. She doesn't coddle him. She's you are a fuckhead.
I like the way they genuinely act like siblings. Like there's a family dynamic going on, and it's kind of adorable for abstract ideas to have a family dynamic.
Yeah, no, it's definitely good. I definitely like what I think is really cool. I'm like tilted here. It's like Thor. So what I really enjoy is the fact that there's like this like clearly this anthropomorphic family. There's people with their own problems set and stuff like that. But what I found was very clear, kind of like Death is like, that was bad. Like, you did that? You know what I mean? And I tried to put into perspective, like what could we be told?
Dream was like that, right?
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Dream is what I meant. But just the fact that there's like, you want to like him, but you, like you said, G, like, yeah, but you did that to Nada, so you can't be that fucking great, right? And so in this area, I'm like, he's not human. He's an endless and eternal and immortal God, right? So when you look at immortality and what does amount of years matter to an eternal concept, it's whatever. So I think to myself, like, imagine I come home and my dog does something, tears up something. So I put my dog in a crate, and my dog was there for 3 hours. And I'm like, I love my dog. I don't have anything, but my dog is gonna go inside a crate because I'm really upset at what happened. Somebody else might go, 3 hours though? Like, yeah, I put my fucking dog in it. So you don't love your dog? Well, no, I love my dog. Like, my dog fucking tore some shit. Like 3 hours though, and it might be like take more than one or two or three people to go, and then maybe I go, okay, maybe overreacted. You know what I mean? And so Dream is like that here.
Not all of its pain is relatable to you.
Right.
Like Dream has struggles to relate to human suffering.
That's it.
Death, on the other hand, is very learned in human,
right.
in the human
Always.
experience.
Yep. Very intimate with human behavior. That's right.
Right. And that's, man, I love that. It's so good. Why do you think none of the other endless seem to get along? Like, Dream and Desire, like Desire is a piece of shit. And and Despair is just like miserable to be around, which I guess it makes sense. But it's like, it is so interesting to me that like the ones that actually feel like they love each other to some extent is Dream and his sister, Death. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you kind of have that, right? So like, what is it? Despair and Desire partner. Yeah. Those two are kind of a deal. And then Death and Dream are a deal. And so you kind of wonder how this all goes. Whereas the older brother of Destiny is just kind of like above them all. But I don't know. I think it's pretty interesting.
At some points, Delirium seemed almost lucid. Like Delirium is just spouting what we would consider madness. But at certain points, Delirium's like, I fucking know things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I thought that was kind of eerie. Like,
yeah.
What did you two think about that? Maybe nothing.
I don't necessarily. Yeah, like I didn't really connect with Delirium. Like she's an interesting character, but it wasn't something I thought about a lot.
Right. Yeah.
She's definitely not showcased here. She's kind of just there as part of this.
So what did Delirium used to be?
Delirium was, Delight.
Okay. So
Delirium was Delight.
I want to know when she changed.
Like a whole story around that. I wonder if there is one. I know that he's written some that kind of focus in on certain endless. I would
certainly read an entire story about Delirium, but in this one, that was not the standout character for me.
Right.
So if I had to like throw out an on the spot guess, I think Neil Gaiman is kind of like, and I do this, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, but whenever I read something, I wonder, is this the writer communicating something about their own thoughts and feelings about something, which I don't know is fair. Maybe it's just, this is a good fantastical story and this is how I'm going to write it, and it has nothing to do with my own personal beliefs. But if we go with the personal belief stuff, I think he's kind of like added these things in accordance with kind of human maturation, right? So this kind of like, what is the youngest endless was Delight, and then Delirium, this kind of like wispy, like, oh, everything is great, and I don't know, and I was so like wrapped up in being delightful and wanting to be positive that I kind of drunk in my own delight, and I don't want to take anything too seriously, which is why they come off as like intoxicated the whole time, very immature in ways.
Maybe it's a jading. Maybe Delight. Maybe she was Delight until she realized that the universe does not accommodate Delight, and that's why she went insane. I don't know.
Right, but then once you move away from that, you notice how the endless become more mature, more stoic in their, in, you know what I mean, and to where you have dreams, which drive all of human nature. Destiny is like that's the beginning and the end. That's all of it. You know, he's like it's silly to worry about anger or anything. Which Despair, I don't know, Despair and Desire also seem fairly young. I don't know.
It's interesting that I didn't think about that, but the older they get, the oldest one is Destiny, and Destiny is the polar opposite of Delirium.
That's right.
So it's like the frivolity just decreases the older the endless is.
That's right.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So, basically the outcome of this whole meeting is that Dream realizes that he has to go to hell and do what he can to correct the great wrong that he committed.
And is ready to die. So that's what I wanted to say real quick. So what we talked about was Peter Sanchek, what we in the Harbinger, what we talked about in general when we talk about people who
redemption.
have done wrong, right? What does redemption mean? And there's this idea that if I'm super sorry, if I'm like, look at this suffering I'm going through, shouldn't you forgive me yet? It's always going to put a bad taste in my mouth. And it's going to be like, no, fuck you. It's not about you. In this case, I think is perfect. It's not about pity. It's not about, hey, look how good I'm doing. He sits there. He acknowledges it's wrong. Death tells him, yeah, actually, you are a piece of shit. I love you, but that was a piece of shit thing. And Death just kind of takes it and goes, okay.
Dream. Yeah.
I keep doing that. Sorry, the D. Dream just takes it and goes, okay.
I have
and
to set things right.
I'm going to go do this. Like, hey, you realize Lucifer is like way more powerful than you, right? I know. And you're gonna probably die. Yeah. I'm going to tie that up here.
He doesn't treat it like a choice. He treats it like, well, this is what has to happen then.
Yeah. It is, I got to go do this. And it's not like, oh, look at me. And isn't this how sorry I am? You know what I mean?
There's nothing in it for him. Like
right.
fixing it doesn't boost him. And he doesn't care about people's opinion of him. It's not like it's not like he's going to get canceled for not doing it. You know what I mean? He doesn't give a shit about that. He's like, this was wrong and it must be set right. And that's just the way things are.
Even if it means my death.
Is death for him like kind of, does that really mean the same though as like a human or a hamster being like, I guess if I do this, I'll die?
I think so. And here's why. I think so.
Because in this one, they do mention, someone says like an aspect of you would take over.
Right.
That's right. But it won't be him.
So it's kind of like when the doctor dies.
Sure, but I think maybe. But here's my only clue, and then Julie, you give us your insight. But
not.
but here's my clue that it's a little bit. Death is something a little bit more, and it's Death's reaction here, because he even said, "I might see you one last time," meaning on his journey to the next plane. To see Death, and Death is sad here, not like, you idiot, you're gonna get revitalized as another entity. I don't know.
But I mean, so is like Rose sad when like Doctor regenerated, because like the one is dying, but like, because I'm like, if they can just like, oh well, Lucifer killed me, like, are you really endless, or are you like semi-endless?
Well, the Dream is endless. Morpheus might not be as endless as Dream is, if that makes any sense.
The concept.
Yeah, no, that does. Yeah.
But so I do know the meaning behind this, so I'm just gonna kind of not say it because I don't have any spoilers.
It's just kind of like, if you're gonna be cavalier about like, oh well, humans, whatever, dime a dozen, then I'm gonna be a little bit cavalier about like, well, you're an abstract concept, so I don't super care if you die.
Yeah. It's almost like a billionaire going, you know what, I'm gonna do the right thing. I might get fired, but I'm gonna do the right thing anyway. Like, yeah, you're gonna get fired and still be a billionaire. You fucking,
Okay.
So we get to see Cain again. So Dream sends Cain to Lucifer to warn of his coming. He decided against sneaking into hell because he's endless and he's got that big fucking ego. So he comes in through the front door. Cain was specifically chosen because he bears the mark of Cain, which if you remember from the Bible, after Cain killed his brother, he was given the mark of Cain.
If you remember from the Bible or watch Supernatural.
It's forbidden to harm Cain, even though he murdered his brother. But everyone knows he did it, so I don't know. But anyway, Dream knows that not even Lucifer would hurt Cain. Dream then goes about preparing his realm in case he should be imprisoned again or killed outright. So he kind of just does some making sure of that everything is going to be okay when he's gone. We get to meet Lyda Hall again too. Remember Lyda Hall from that kind of weird part of was it the Doll's House?
Yep.
So she she was pregnant in the doll's house, but since she had the baby, she hasn't given him a name yet. It's a nameless child, and the baby was sort of conceived by Dream, not directly, but like because it was conceived in the Dream realm. Dream is the father.
Right.
She's
By
pretty
the way,
pissed.
this baby's ugly as fuck.
It is a very ugly baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and call the baby ugly on this one. And say,
yeah. I don't know if that's a weird cap or the artist just went, yeah, there's a shadow right there. Like, whatever you're doing there is creepy as fuck.
Not every baby's cute. That's just a fact of life.
It is true.
So she's pissed at Dream because Dream destroyed what she thought was her husband and threw her life into like kind of disarray. She didn't have a good experience with him last time. He's next to the baby's cradle. He admonishes her to keep the child safe because the child is very special, having gestated in dreams. Dream tells her that the baby's name is Daniel, which is pretty gauche, but anyway, whatever. Next, Dream visits Hob Gadling in the dream world to share a drink with him. If you remember Hob is the one from that little mini story where it's the guy who doesn't die because of the bet between dream and death.
100 years he visits.
That's right. Yeah. It's like Dream's only mortal friend. So he visits him just to have a drink and be like, hey, I know I'm early, but we might not see each other again. So this is kind of like a maybe goodbye. Mm-hmm. And he gives him like some baller wine, which I guess I can't remember the name of it, but apparently it's the good stuff. Mm-hmm. So then Hob toasts, this is the part, to absent friends, lost loves, old gods, and the season of mists. So that's like title.
And everybody's like, oh, they said the title. They said the title.
Oh, they said the title. Which, by the way, it did give me chills. When I read that part, I was like, ooh, like,
yeah,
it had the effect. And he goes, may each and every one of us always give the devil his due. So anyway, Dream descends to hell and he finds it completely empty, like showing up somewhere and it's closed, basically. There's no damned, there's no demons. He meets with Lucifer, who asks him to walk with him as he closes up hell. Lucifer has decided to abdicate and has thrown everyone out. Lucifer locks up the gates of hell, asks Dream to cut off his wings, and then he hands the keys to Dream, and then Lucifer leaves. So a lot happens here, and the part that I love, it's not really a main part, but I really love is, I can't remember his name, but there's this one guy in hell. Like, everyone in hell is there because they think they deserve to be there.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
Right. Like the super evil dude who's like,
tortured people.
I took my mother. That was rough.
He raped his mother and he sewed his wife to her lover.
Yep. Killed his sister because she wouldn't love him back or consent to, like, it was
he's the scum of the earth, but now that he's dead, even though he was a psychopath in life, with the clarity of death, he sees what a piece of shit he is, and he himself elects to be punished forever because he can't live with the things he did. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really liked Dream's response of just like, everyone that you killed would be dead by now, so what does it matter?
Right. Which it's interesting because to us, someone like that really is unforgivable. Beyond even the slightest sliver of doubt, unforgivable.
Right.
And yet to an endless, it's like, you can't be unforgivable with your short little human life, because even the sum of all your misdeeds cease to matter against eternity. You know what I mean?
So I got something a little bit different from that. So remember what I was saying about Death's decision to go in, right? It's not about you. Who gives a fuck about
Dreams,
you?
yeah.
Dream, like this person is feeling abdicated for what they did because of their own torturing. And it's like, this is, you're doing nothing. This is nothing. Nobody knows who you are. So it's, if you listen to him, like, God, I don't know why I can't find the panel right now, but if you listen to him, he's talking about it as if it's his, like, how pride he is.
His duty is to be punished.
And he's like, boom, boom, boom. He says his name right here. It's a point of pride. I am Brashau. I am Brashau, the slayer of blah, blah, blah. I am Brashau, the person who did this and that and this. Don't you see how terrible I was? The world. Nobody knows who you are anymore, bro. Like, nobody's even heard of your name. Like, there's nothing. There's not one book that talks about you. And it's like, show the fuck up, And it's like,
It adds a layer of justice to, I think it adds a layer of justice to hell that Milton and the Bible sort of leave out, which is not only are people being punished for their sins for all of eternity, but they know they deserve it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is kind of less. It's a concept that's left out when you think about the classic hell of all these sinners are punished forever and they're miserable. But do they really know that they deserve? Like, have they internalized why they're being punished? And apparently they have.
Yeah.
So,
what's the name of the book?
Paradise Lost.
No, hold on. I gotta find it.
It's gonna bother me.
There's a book, and just the name is literally hell. So like googling it is not gonna help me.
Book on hell. Nope, not of those.
Oh yeah, here it is. There's
So
a
what is
book
it?
called Hell by Robert Olin Butler, and like it is the best take I have ever read on hell. It references a lot of like Dante and like the classics they talk about, but yeah, like it's got just some of the most perfect punishments and kind of does this too of like you're not important.
That's it.
That's it. I really liked Lucifer here. I like how Lucifer is just like, I'm sick of it. I'm fucking sick of it.
That was
Enough
such
is enough.
a good twist. Like, because I was expecting like they're gonna have a fight. How is this gonna go down? And
That's right.
personally, I'm calling bullshit on Lucifer being more powerful than the abstract concept of Dream, but sure, okay.
I mean, they're prideful creatures. Death is crying, and Dream does not hesitate at all at saying, "Oh yeah, way more powerful than me."
So I guess in this world, the
really
name is the most. The name, which I guess is sort of like the Abrahamic God, maybe, but it's called the Name, and that's like literally
the top tier, yeah.
That's the one above all. Basically, that's the most powerful being that exists. It's beyond comprehension, and I guess Lucifer is the second most powerful after that one.
Right.
Yeah. Which I don't know. I kind of agree with G. That's like interesting because I did not feel like that was how this universe was shaping up at first.
Well, the number one thing I thought reading this was like, I kept thinking this was like, I would love to talk to Neil Gaiman and see if he would write this one the same way now.
Well, here's why I don't find that to be a stretch. Anytime Dream, there's only one place where Dream is like super badass OP, and that's in his own realm. And when he goes to other realms, he has to be careful. He needs
to be humble.
Because they are the most powerful in their own realm. And so if Lucifer was first, if you go by the Christian mythology, Lucifer was the highest ranking angel against the creator of all things. And then he led that fight. So we're not talking about a domain. We're talking about all creation. Lucifer was number 2 too. So I think it fits that he would be that powerful. But there is one point where I'm like, wait a minute. If Lucifer is that powerful, in the last volume, we found out that there was something he had to do and hell became a triumvirate. And I'm like, if he was that powerful, why would he have to share the relationship with the other two? Because it's something he fucked up on or whatever. I don't know.
I'm not 100% sure what happened there because was there really a triumvirate or was it an illusion that Lucifer cast to create like this idea that he wasn't the soul? I don't know.
Right?
I don't know. It almost feels like this Lucifer is a different character than the Lucifer from Fable, Preludes and Nocturnes. You know,
there's not a single character in this volume that I wouldn't read. I think a solo series about
Lucifer,
especially Lucifer.
That exists though, so we can't. Yeah,
I think it's marvelous that Lucifer is a character who is how old, and then we're still like Batman is what 70 years old, and it's like, oh, okay, well we've seen like every story, but we're still getting like creative
new takes on Lucifer. Yeah. Such a good character.
Billion years canon.
Yeah, whoever
and
came
that's
up
not
with
even
that
before
character,
that.
like good job.
Yeah.
Old
Definitely.
person.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I won't go off on too much of a tangent, but the first canonical appearance of Lucifer in the Bible is in the book of Genesis, the serpent. But what's interesting is that was actually a retcon because before the New Testament retconned the serpent as an aspect of Lucifer. The first canonical appearance of Lucifer was actually in the book of Job as Lucifer. Well, even before that, in the book, the first appearance of a character called Lucifer in all of Scripture is in the book of Job, and he's not even a demon or anything. Like, that concept hadn't been written yet. He was just this dude that accused Job of being a shitty follower of God, and God was like, "Oh yeah, you think so? Let's punish Job and see just how great Job is." So it was like this cosmic game between Lucifer and God, but they weren't necessarily enemies, and they weren't, it was. Go ahead. Sorry.
Wild tangent, but like, does the Old Testament God and New Testament God seem like a completely different version? Like, that have to be different people. That cannot be the same person.
He's the same now and forever.
Oh well,
Old Testament God is such a dick.
Maybe he came back in a different aspect.
Yeah.
Right? Like, did someone kill you, like, dream, and you just came back as like the nicer version? I don't know.
It's just interesting to me how the character evolved, like of Lucifer. As first, he's just this accuser that challenges God over the soul of Job, and then later in the New Testament, they retcon that the serpent was Lucifer, Lucifer was Lucifer, and also Lucifer is the devil, the Satan, the fucking Lord of all evil that is God's enemy, that plans on waging a war, like armed combat with God in
he's like
the Book of Revelation.
Communism, just cancels anything we don't like.
So
right. It's just
as you guys know, I grew up in the church, and there's so many rabbit holes you can go down with all that, and the Christian church, and it's right. You know what I mean? As if you grew up Christian, or especially if you're Jewish now, there's going to be like things that you like read, and then it's like, yeah, but go to Sunday school, and then they'll explain it all to you. But then when you grow up out of it, you're like, well, no, that doesn't make sense.
Dude, that's where, like, I remember the exact moment I was like, I don't think I buy this Christianity shit. Yeah. Because I asked my pastor, like, so did Judas go to heaven? And he's like, let me get back to you. And he did. And his answer was, I don't know, maybe.
According to
I am out. That seems like a really basic question.
Yeah.
According to the Divine Comedy, Judas is being chewed by one of Satan's 3 mouths.
That's such fucking bullshit, because, like, did you know there was a form of Christianity, an early form, that actually worshipped Judas, not Jesus, as the Messiah?
Yeah,
which I think makes more sense, because, like, without him, none of it would have happened. Like, I don't know. Anyway, that's just.
I mean, without going down a super tangent, we'll go to the next volume, because this will definitely be a different stream if we don't. But I will say that if you believe in predetermination and this is God's plan all along, every person who played a role in the bad side was predetermined and had to play that role.
And then that makes
and they're blameless.
They're blameless.
Yeah, whatever. Religion doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. I think the DC universe, even post death metal, has better continuity and more reasonable rules than the Old and New Testament. But,
yeah, and that's not even throwing Islam
Neil
into the mix.
Gaiman, like, write the Bible, I think, or just maybe write the universe.
It would have been better. It would have been better.
Tolkien, I think, would have done a really good job.
Yeah, done a really good job. That's a religion I'd be down with.
But here's the thing: if you think about it, right? So let me give you a quick grew up in the Christian church perspective. They did the same thing. The new covenant versus the old covenant is the Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Right.
It is the retcon. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Fuck it. No, he's not doing away with it. He comes to fulfill it. And that's why it seems like I'm saying he's changed, but he didn't really change. He is the same, but it's because the law was fulfilled. And here's what the sheep really meant. And all right. Okay, new writers, all new, all different Bible. Let's go.
And Satan becomes the anti-monitor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, all right, pressing.
Okay,
sorry.
So check it out. So this part is
no one's really watching this because we would have lost like 100 followers right there.
This part's super fun. Dream returns to his castle as various gods hear of Lucifer's abdication. Odin collects Loki and Thor, not the ones we're used to, in the hopes of securing Hel to avoid Ragnarok. Anubis, Bast, and Best. Which one's the one with the great boobies? Is that Bast? I think. Bast journey to bargain with information of Destruction's whereabouts. So their little bargaining chip is they know where Destruction is. Azazel, Merkin, and Choronzone. Remember Choronzone? That's the one that Dream had a fight with. Yep. They arrive with Nada as their prisoner. So that's their bargaining chip, is they actually have Nada, which is the whole reason the Dream went to hell in the first place. Susano Ono Mikoto which is to secure hell for his pantheon, which is dying out. Order, which is a fucking cardboard box, offers
Oh my god.
a trade of the recently dead, and then the representative of chaos, Shivering Jemmy, who is really weird and funny, threatens Dream. What we find out is an empty threat to Dream. Cluricon of the Fae and his sister Nuala, who I think we met during Duma, they arrive late, and then Duma and Ramil, which I think are super interesting, two angels, are sent from the Silver City, which is this version of heaven, to observe the proceedings. Dream allows them all entrance, and he entertains them with a banquet where Cain saws off Abel's head or something. Like,
Jesus.
I don't know. So yeah, we're kind of meeting all these other like abstract beings. And I thought it's a really fun part. This is the fun part, you know? It's interesting that it kind of harkens to American Gods, this idea that like some of these beings, like the Susano Ono Makoto, are in like dire straits because nobody believes in them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like looking for something. Like they see hell as like this source of like relevance and power.
This is my favorite part of that whole thing. Is this Neil Gaiman throwing a spear at Marvel?
I don't
like to
know.
think it is. I like to think that this little guy.
I sort
Is this
of
one?
think the fact that he's only ever worked with DC sort of makes me think that there's a beef with Marvel, and I don't know
maybe.
what or why.
Yeah.
Well, he has worked for Marvel before. He did he did. Doesn't take place in normal Marvel continuity, and he also sold Angela to Marvel for $1 just to spite Todd McFarlane. Like he created Angela for the Spawn universe for Todd McFarlane, and they had a money related dispute, and then just to spite Todd, he like after he won his lawsuit where he retained the rights to Angela, he sold her to Marvel for $1.
That's such a dick move.
So he definitely holds. He's definitely a guy that enjoys delivering some just desserts from time to time. He definitely has a sassy side, sassy Neil Gaiman. But
maybe he is secretly an endless.
Maybe he definitely looks like an endless. So
did you skip over the? Or are we not there yet? The little kid thing.
That's shivering Jemmy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned it.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm good. No, that's good. I just wanted to like, that was my input. I found that part super boring. But I do.
No, we haven't gotten to that part yet.
Okay, because the head
that's coming next.
Thing is after. I thought. I haven't seen it yet.
Maybe after. So the next part that we're going to talk about
is all that.
These other cosmic entities, and they're all pulling Dream aside and making like threats or offers depending on what you look at it. I mean, at this point, I was almost sure that he was going to give it to Azazel, Merkin, and Choronzone because rescuing Nada seemed to be his highest priority. But it's not.
That's like no, because like he's cleverer than that.
Mm-hmm.
Dream is bound by duty. Nothing matters to him more than his responsibilities as Dream.
You said duty.
Duty. He's bound by duty.
So can I just be like cis heteronormative piece of shit real quick?
Absolutely.
I've never been a cat girl until right now. So
really,
I think I might be a furry.
She does have a nice.
She's hot.
If cat girls make you a furry, then I think we're all furries.
No, but like not cat girls, like meow cat girl, like straight up cat head with a body like that.
You know what? I've been saying for years that what's his name? Not Zuko. The lion from Lion King 2. Kuva.
Oh, not 1.5, 2. Okay.
Yeah, that is a hot lion. That's a sexy lion.
I'm telling you, these artists are like.
If you grew up as a '90s kid, like you have to understand furries.
Yeah, 100%.
What the hell was Tony the Tiger for, if not to make us all thirsty?
That's right. Or Babs in the original.
Or any of the cast of Robin Hood.
Yes.
Most the most of the male coded cosmic abstracts or deities in this scene, I guess, are very like are douchebags. You know what I mean? Like Thor is like trying to get into Bast's pants like real hard, real aggressively, and it's just, and then who's the one that's hitting on like the actual human there that's just having a dream where she's like, don't you think that's kind of interesting that just when you have a dream, you can get recruited by Dream to like serve hors d'oeuvres at his party?
It's very Freddy Krueger, and I'm into it.
Yeah,
that's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, this part like showing us all these people in this weird situation where they're all trying to bargain with Dream to get this much desired key to hell. And then while this is happening, all the souls in hell, like that have been tortured, they're free and they have nowhere to go, so they just return to Earth. And it's heavily implied but not really shown is that Death, this is like a fucking crisis for Death, and it's just not the story, but there is a story happening there that we're not seeing where Death is like, well, what the fuck? This is messing with my shit. I need to fix, like, she's running around trying to fix this shit. And we get to meet this guy. We see like we basically go to is this where it happens? Yeah. So we see this school, this boarding school. And it's like this part was a little bit snoozy for me too, I'm not gonna lie. We basically get this little side anecdote of like all these people that have returned to life in this boarding school. And this boarding school, it's like a horrible place. Like I think it almost kind of, I guess because it's been on the news a lot lately, is like the boarding schools in Canada, but it kind of reminds me of just some shithole school where kids are abused.
Very fuck, what was I reading? I was reading a book about
The Secret Garden.
No, it was called The Woman They Couldn't Silence, and it was about I can't remember her name, but she's kind of the woman who like got women rights to not be involuntarily committed in the United States. And like this kind of I'm thinking of something about Bloodshot. Continue. Sorry. I think you'll know who I'm thinking of in Bloodshot.
You're still muted.
Oh.
I think I know what you're talking about. But yeah. So this is just like some school, and the one line of dialogue that to me was there was one line of that I think mattered more than the rest of the window dressing of that little story is the kid kind of muses to himself or to his friend that he makes there, who's also dead. He goes, I don't think hell is a place. I think hell is something that you carry with you. And I thought that was like super good writing. So the kid who is returned from hell is talking to the other kid who's also returned from hell. And remember, there's those bullies that they went to hell because they murdered a kid.
Right.
And there's like a bunch of pretty much everyone there's a bad person because they all just came from hell.
Right.
But the kid basically says, like, he's just musing to himself about hell. Like, where do we go? Where if there's no hell? And he goes, I don't think hell's a place. I think it's just a thing that you carry with. And I just thought that was kind of interesting because I think it's true about real life.
Absolutely true.
Like
there are people who are making their and I think we've all met those people that like you're making your own life miserable.
Yeah.
In the so me being a literalist, in the context of this story, I read that and I was like, nope, we've been there. We already been there last chapter. It was a place, and there's a key to it, and there's gates. But yeah. If you want to use that analogy, like if I was talking to the kid, I mean, like if I'm in this world, and like I think death is just like no, death right here. Hey, sister, come here. That's death.
Well, Robo, it's kind of like the concept of home. Home isn't your house. Your house can be your home. But home is something that you build wherever you go. You know, home. If you have loved ones, home is where your loved ones are. It's like you say, like home is wherever I am with you. You know, if there's someone, if there's people that you consider to be your family, and then of course you could always say, no, it's actually 6531 McGill's Court, and you know what I mean.
Well, even more than that though, if there was this giant fucking house called home. And there's a big ass fucking sign in front of it that said home. And then you got a key to that building. And then someone said, home is where you hang your heart. Like, oh, that's good. But home is also that giant fucking building I have the keys to.
Right. And I think even the kids saying that also realized that there was a place called hell.
Just because a thing is one thing doesn't mean it can be another.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And yeah. Kind of reminds me of like something I saw on the internet a while ago about people preferring houseless over homeless. And the one place where I saw that specifically was in Hawaii, where it's kind of like not cool to call people homeless, even if they don't have a house that they live in, because their home is Hawaii. So, but like, of course, we all know that like when people say a home, they're literally talking about a building. So,
so you're saying this kid, but the only part that I'm debating is not that there's like more than one thing or whatever, but you're saying that, and I can't find the talk bubble, but did he say that hell isn't real? Hell is,
no, he just came from hell. He knows what hell is. He's saying, I think what hell really is it's something that you carry with you. It's not necessarily a place.
Oh, so there it is. The last sentence is not somewhere you go. That's the only part I would say.
Yeah.
I'd be like, well, no, you just came from there, homie.
But if you think about the previous chapter, the denizens of hell brought hell there because they're there to be punished. Do you know what I mean?
I see.
Like hell, an empty hell is it really hell? I mean, yeah, it's called hell, but yeah.
That's fair.
So this part begins, it ends, and it's just kind of a little gives you an idea of what's actually happening in the real world. Yeah. It's our connection to the real world. And then Dream is negotiating privately from individuals representing their various pantheons, including Ramil and Duma. Ramil, these are the angels, by the way, from the Silver City or heaven or whatever you want to call it. He receives a message from God, what they call the name, ordering him to accept the key from Dream. He balks. He basically says, like, what the fuck? I've been a good angel. I didn't rebel. Why were you doing this to me? You know what? I'm going to rebel. But eventually Duma accepts the assignment and Ramil agrees to go with Duma. I think they're lovers or something, but I got vibes. Dream then tells the rest of his guests, the beings who created hell have decided it's dispensation and dismisses them all. He's basically saying, well, God created hell, so we'll leave it up to God on this one. So Azazel's pissed off, and he's pissed off at being passed over, and he threatens the souls of Nada and Chornzone, who are under Dream's protection, but he's in the dreaming. So this is a very like badass moment where Dream is like, you stupid motherfucker. You're trying to fight me in Dream, in the dream realm, and I'm Dream. Like, how could you be such an imbecile?
Stupid.
Yeah. How could you be such a ninny to think that you could win this fight? You fucking idiot. And then he defeats him. Easily. Which I love that. I love that shit. So then Dream meets with Nada. Should we take a break and talk about what I just talked about before we go to Dream meeting with Nada? Because I feel like that's a whole separate conversation. Or do you want me to press?
What exactly did you want to talk about?
So this fight, like the decision to give it to Duma and Ramil, and then Azazel fighting Dream. I don't know if there's a lot of interpretive like analysis there. I think it's just a cool part. Unless there's something I missed.
Well, no, I think it definitely nails home the fact that the one above all is the thing that nobody's gonna fuck with.
Nobody's gonna fuck with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we have Dream meeting with Nada, who he's finally rescued. Apologizes to her, but it's a very shitty apology. It's like a non-apology where he's like, there's a chance I may have been a silly when I damned you to fucking hell. She slaps him right in the face, which I loved. And he gets pissed off, but then he sort of swallows it and admits that he deserved it because he's a piece of shit. Once again, he offers her his love, and she still turns him down because her views haven't changed in thousands of years. You know, they've probably changed in the other way of like fuck Dream. But anyway, she turns him down and she tells him that he could resign his place to be with her, which he declines. So then Dream's final act of like trying to resolve this is he allows her to be reincarnated as a newborn baby. And he tells her that she'll always be welcome in the dreaming, but she has no memory of hell. She has no memory of Dream. She's a new person now, which I guess is a nice thing to do, or I don't know.
It seemed like merciful.
Merciful, yeah.
Can you imagine if she still kept her human mind? Can you imagine the level of irreparable trauma of
From being
thousands of years of imprisonment and hell, the
torture.
knowledge of hell, the knowledge of endless? Like, now you get to just get a redo. Sorry for fucking up those millennia for you. Yeah.
Sorry.
As the audience, do you forgive Dream now? I mean, it seems like she's forgiven him, and it seems like he succeeded in, to the maximum extent possible, undoing the damage he caused. And it also seems like he internalized the extent of what a piece of shit he was. At this point, after doing these things, she's now reborn as a new human. Do you think like Dream can move on? Do you think it's time for Dream to move on from this?
Yeah. I mean,
I think
he sort of already had.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, but I'm saying, do you think he earned his redemption? I guess is to put it more succinctly.
I don't know.
Like,
I think that's a weird question because it's like no, right?
No.
Like a millennia of torture. I'm like, yeah, but I give you a redo. Like,
I think he did the best he could.
Right. Yeah.
He could.
And I think it's okay. And I've actually digested what Joshua Dysart said a lot about Peter Stranzek, because he said the same thing over and over again. He's like, if you fail to forgive Peter,
that's okay.
That's okay. Like, I didn't write him to be forgiven. He might be irredeemable. The whole point of that story is the fact that, yeah, he's a piece of shit. He stayed a piece of shit. And that might be a part of the story. I think Dream here, I don't think the point is to forgive him. He's still an abstract concept who doesn't understand humanity, to the point where he thinks, all right, there you go. Redo. You're a baby now. Like, what?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like no, like that would be also horrible. Like, you're wiping my mind. Like, what? Like, okay, I guess.
Like he still doesn't understand human suffering. Maybe he understands it a little bit more, but he still will never fully understand it.
Right.
I think with each issue, he is getting more human.
Yeah, you see it, little pieces of it here and there, like with the guy that he meets for drinks every 100 years and stuff like that.
Right. But even that, you know,
but I think his apology was very human.
Yeah.
Did you find this part emotionally impactful?
Yes.
Same. I felt like a little bit in my chest of like, oh, like it definitely emotional part.
I think we've all done something and known it was a terrible thing. At least I have known it was a terrible thing. And then like, but I'm just going to put it in this box and just ignore it. But you never can let it go yet until you deal with that. I think especially like alcoholism or anyone who's struggled with an addiction, like you have this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then when you're faced with it, like, no, fuck you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, to be a little vulnerable here, to be a little transparent, there are people I have seriously wronged in my life. You know what I mean? The mother of my kids, you know? And so am I who I was 15 years ago? Fuck no. Like, I've never done that again. I've been super sorry. My kids love me. And my ex-wife, we're fine. Like, she calls, she talks to me about my daughter. If somebody were to go to her, I'm like, yeah, okay, so you guys are good. Like, so you forgive him now. Like, no, I don't know if I deserve forgiveness. And I think it's okay to be not forgiven. I think people talk about forgiveness as if it's like this natural next step that you have to get to.
It's like paying off your loan.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not a debt to be paid. This is it. And I will always hurt from it. And I'm glad that we can move on. I'm glad that Nada gets a redo, but it doesn't undo anything. So no,
at the very least, you can know that you did all that you possibly could.
Right.
And
like,
that's the best
without
thing
a time machine, like, you know what I mean? But no, I don't think anybody, no matter how much change it goes through, this is actually a part of, not to go back to where we were, but this is actually one of the most harmful things about a lot of religion, not just Christianity, that I think is actually harmful. And it's this, it's an almost a mandate to forgive, because in the Bible it talks about that as a commandment that you forgive others as I have forgiven you. And if you don't, then you are spitting in my face. I'm like, no, that's unhealthy. Like,
well, it's a
you don't owe
misunderstanding.
anybody a forgiveness.
It's a misunderstanding because I think when they say forgiveness, they don't really mean forgiveness. Like, they can't possibly really mean forgiveness if they were to really understand what forgiveness entails. I think what they really mean is letting go of anger, which anyone can do.
Yeah.
You can let go of anger, and it's healthy.
That's speculation, but when you add the as I've forgiven you, then I don't, you know what I mean? Like, those put together is like, oh, so don't be mad at me. Like, God doesn't stay mad at me. Like no, we're talking about, again, I'm talking about strictly in the Christian context is the concept of forgiveness is to like, I let it go. I don't hold any ill will towards you. Like, no, like, yeah, I will hold ill will towards you forever, because you know why? Because that's a survival mechanism that has kept us alive for so long. I now know you are not trustworthy. Now, you're right. There are psychological and therapeutic things. You don't hold on to the illness, your hate. That kind of kills you inside. But there is a way to let go of that. Like you said, the letting go of anger. But I'm good. I'm moving past it. No, I don't forgive you. No, I don't think you're a good person now or whatever. And I don't absolve you of what you did to me. But I'm going to move on with my life. But you're right. I mean, if you can, we could speculate and talk about, you know, as far as like, what did the Bible actually mean?
We can highlight unconditional forgiveness as being unhealthy and not even possible. But we could also acknowledge that letting go of anger is good for the person with the anger. It's anger does hurt you inside.
Yeah, hold on to it. Yep.
Good stuff.
But this was great. Yeah.
So we kind of close the loop on Nada. She's reincarnated as a newborn. Dream tells her she's always welcome in the dreaming. And then Dream discovers that Susanoo Ono Mikoto is attempting to sneak out of his castle without a proper goodbye. And then he finds out that it's Loki being a piece of shit in disguise. So Dream frees Susanoo Ono Mikoto from Loki's prison. So before this story, I didn't really go over it. Loki is in this like prison forever. And Loki doesn't want to go back to that prison. So Loki comes up with this elaborate scheme to have a Susanoo Ono Mikoto that looks like Loki trapped in the prison while he gets to go free. Dream
very Loki thing there.
Very, very Loki thing to kind of mess up. But what he does is he frees Susanoo Ono Mikoto from Loki's prison, but he allows Loki to remain free. And he does this so that Loki can be in his debt. Who knows? Maybe that'll pay off later. Meanwhile, Lucifer, and this is just the icing on the cake. Lucifer is sitting on a beach admiring the sunset, while grudgingly giving God his due. And he's talking to some guy in Australia, and the guy calls him a what's the word that this guy calls him? He's like, "Are you a pog or something, or Paul?" I can't remember.
Palm.
Are you a palm? And I don't know what that word means, and I asked Rhea, and she didn't answer me. So I really have
what was Ben's guess? Oh, you're a palm, aren't you? That's okay. I've known some good palms. Did you Google it?
I did Google it, and I didn't get a consistent answer. There were like a lot of not consistent answers, but I just thought that was kind of interesting.
When Australians use the word palm, they're talking about the British, more specifically the English. Australians have been using the word freely since its probable emergence in the late 19th century as a nickname for English immigrants. So in this particular case, he say, "Are you an Englishman visiting?" That's okay. I've known some good Englishmen like you.
Okay, and it's probably, I think it's just a throwaway comment maybe, but yeah, Lucifer gets to retire on the beach, which is kind of dope. And then we see Ramil and Duma presiding over Hell, which is once again full of souls and demons, and their regime. They decide that this is a new era of hell where not only are people being punished, but their punishment is based on the hope that their soul will be redeemed. And then one of the prisoners of hell comments, "That's actually worse," or something. So they made hell worse for the prisoners there, but they
just made it into the good place.
Right.
Yeah, it's the good place. That's right.
Yeah, until you're ready to go on. Well, yeah. I mean, the good place had a hell, but could you leave hell? No, not really, right?
No, not really.
In this place, it seems like the Catholic. So you know how like Neil Gaiman is borrowing from these different mythologies. It's clear that the Judeo-Christian part of it is very Catholic heavy. And one thing that you do have in Catholicism is a purgatory, and depending on why you're in purgatory depends on how your time there goes in the Catholic mythology. And so if you were like needed some sins burned away, but it wasn't bad enough to go to hell, then your purgatory is pretty shitty because you got to pay for those sins before they can be absolved, before you can enter heaven. So it seems like this is Neil Gaiman's like, and thus purgatory was born, where you can go and maybe you burn forever because you're just not going to be good. But there is a section where there's a chance where if you can absolve what you've done, then you can move on. This seems like purgatory.
Neil Gaiman is just through his writing, from reading American Gods and reading the last volume, Dream Country, with the cats and stuff. It seems like a common theme with Neil Gaiman is that belief makes things real, to some extent. So I wonder to what extent these cosmic abstracts, even within the canon of Sandman, to what extent they're products of human belief, you know?
Yeah. Department of Truth, cough, cough.
Yeah. Department of Truth vibes. Yeah.
Yeah. The flames of hell, Ramil mused, had become refining fires, burned away the dross and sin, leaving only purity and repentance and good. Ramil heard the screams and then smiled. It, another genderless, perhaps it thought, had been guilty of misjudgment. After all, this was all part of the plan, was it not? How could the events not be for the best? In this, the best of all possible worlds. Perhaps things had ended happily after all. Happily ever after. Did
you get a sinister vibe from that? There's a slight sinister vibe to that of he hears the screams and it reminds me of like anyone who thinks that they're doing something just in the name of religion, even though it's horrible, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, 3 people in the chat. So if anybody, there's got to be lots of Christians who follow us, right? And we're going to lose them all.
We can't talk about this book without talking about religion because
But my personal disdain for religion is kind of like, I feel like Neil Gaiman would agree. I bet you if we talk, you're like, oh yeah, fuck religion. Here's why. This has to be true in Christian mythology. So, well, I won't say Judeo-Christian mythology because I understand like the concept of hell in Judaism is different. But in Christian mythology and Islamic mythology, hell, depending on the sect that you believe in, is a place you go to burn. And if that is created by your top dude, and it says this is the part of the plan after all, perhaps things had ended happily after all, happily ever after in hell, meaning like that's the plan. That's the thing that was supposed to happen. And if you are a perfect all-knowing God, then your plan has that's the end. You know what I mean? Like you're writing this book. So for it, that's what always baffled me about any of the religions that believed in a hell of torment created by the all-powerful, whether it's Allah or God or whatever. It's like, okay, so he created this place, knowing all the people that would go there. That's a part of his plan. He knew.
What's up, Eva?
Yeah. What's that?
Hey, Eva,
what's going on? So yeah, I don't know. I think this last page is again. I think, and me reading maybe a little bit too much into it. Maybe Neil Gaiman would be like, "Don't put words in my mouth, dickhead." But I think this is Neil Gaiman's indictment.
I don't think we all bring our own experiences to whatever like we read or watch.
Sure. Yeah.
We're a collaborator. Sort of, but
headcanon.
I don't think Neil hates religion. I think he sort of sees himself as standing outside of religion and looking in and thinking, well, faith is good, but faith is also stupid, but it gives people hope, but it also makes people feel self-righteous, and it's also nonsense, but it's also as real as you want it to be. Like I feel like that's what he's doing, just outside kind of commenting in on it.
Right.
So, and please jump in because I'm by no means an expert on analyzing literature, but these are the themes that kind of jumped out at me. First and foremost, well, no, one of them that's definitely just seems consistent is the concept of responsibility, whether it's Morpheus feeling duty bound not only to his realm, but also to correct any errors. You know, he wants to correct his error with Nadia. He wants to manage all of his responsibilities in the dreaming. And he also feels like, even though he didn't want the key to hell, possessing it gives him the responsibility to make the most correct decision he could possibly make.
Right.
But, I mean, the whole time I'm reading it, I'm like, just fucking give it to the first person who asks, so it's not your problem anymore. But no, that's not Dream. Dream believes there's a right answer, and he needs to find it, and he takes that very seriously.
The only thing I'd say I agree with almost all of that. I'm with Dream I'm with G in the way that you were talking about how Dream is a little bit more wily than that. Like, I think I think the fact that Dream needed to hold on to the key and do the right thing, there was an obligation to do something with it. I'm not saying isn't part of it, but during this banquet, he had not saved Nada yet. And I think that Nada being saved was the ultimate goal, and he needed to use his key to do what he needed to do to get to that end goal.
That is interesting. And then on the flip side of the responsibility, you have both Lucifer and, as mentioned at the beginning, Destruction abandoning their roles. So Morpheus is on one end of the spectrum of responsibility. With definitely think that's warrants discussing though. Like what was the thought process that made him not just free Nadia as soon as she was in his grasp? I don't know, but it does seem like he does at least place a high value on just responsibilities themselves. Sure. Meanwhile, Lucifer is like, I'm sick of this shit. I'm done. And Destruction is like, we don't know what happened with Destruction, but he left the Endless. So
he's now the prodigal, right?
Right. He's the prodigal. Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's interesting. One thing that I will say that I don't know if it's a plot hole or something that'll be answered later. If the leader of the Silver City, if the one that created everything is all powerful, and that was Lucifer's place, I think it's interesting that Lucifer could just walk away, cut my wings off, I'm done. Like, but that was your punishment. That was where you were supposed to go. So is there more to happen with Lucifer? Probably we'll find out in the Lucifer books of Sandman.
I think he was like, it was like a point of pride for him to rule hell, and he just ran out of steam on it. I don't know. I'm speculating. I really don't know. I wonder. One thing that kind of, and this might be way too abstract. This probably just nonsense, but the idea, going back to the idea that people created their own hell, people went to hell, but they were there out of a sense of need to be punished. Kind of reminds me of Morpheus feeling a sense of duty to basically respect all of his responsibilities, no matter how inconvenient they are to him. And then like when I think of Lucifer and Destruction abandoning their roles, I don't think of them doing a bad thing. I think more of them like maybe there's a freeing feeling of relinquishing a responsibility, and that maybe that's something that Morpheus will never feel. And in that way, he's not much different than the souls in hell that demand punishment. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think you're onto something.
Yeah. I'm gonna need to digest that further. No, I was kidding.
So, and then the other theme, and I don't really have much to say on it because we've already kind of discussed it ad nauseum, but punishment. Expiation and punishment. So that's really a very consistent concept, from the unjust punishment that Dream placed on Nada to the punishments people receive in hell to the way Dream has been punishing people this entire fucking series. Big thing in this series. And then the most of all, the thing that I think is the biggest theme is change. Delirium used to be delight. Destruction abandoned his post. Morpheus explained that if he was destroyed, he would remanifest as another aspect of Dream. Lucifer no longer wants to rule hell. Odin wants hell in order to escape Ragnarok. Azazel wants the key to change his status to truly rule hell and make the demons who would live there truly independent. Azazel's a socialist, by the way. He wants to control the means of hell. So that's your boy, Ro.
Is he the worker? No, that's not socialism.
Well, he was a demon. The demons are the workers, right?
Yeah, but he wants he wants to control it. He doesn't want to give it to the.
But he wants to create a more equitable hell where all the demons can pursue their own.
I am for socialism in hell. Yes, egalitarian tortures. Yes.
Yeah.
You got the gods from the Japanese pantheon are attempting expansion by incorporating new ideas and recreating themselves. They're dealing with their relevance vanishing over the centuries. And then nearly every being is in some kind of flux in Season of Mists. The book proposes the idea that even gods can change and shift, which is an important idea when dealing with the entities known as the Endless.
No, yeah.
So crazy, right?
Yeah.
I love this book. I loved it. Neil Gaiman's just the greatest writer.
This was Danny's favorite volume.
Really?
Yeah, he said that last week, but
cool.
Yeah. Yep. What can we expect the next volume?
Well, the next volume is called A Game of You. I'm gonna just grow myself really quick. There I am. So this is A Game of You, and I'll be honest, I have not a single recollection of what this one's about. So I can't even tease anything. I don't know what this is about. Even flipping through, nothing's familiar to me, which is cool because it'll be fun to kind of read it with for the first time again.
Nice.
But just flipping through, really good art. We got Sean McManus, Colleen Duran is back. Brian Talbot, George Pratt, Stan Walk, Dick Giordano. So a lot of artists that a lot of new artists to the title that we haven't seen in this title before. Although it does seem to have the same general aesthetic. But yeah, there you go.
Danny last week said that the one we just went over today was his favorite. Eva says this one you have in your hand is her favorite. So
cool. So I'm gonna shrink myself now. But yeah, that's it. Next time we're gonna talk about A Game of You. Let's see, is it thicker or less thick? It's a little longer than Season of Mists. So
I should have started this last week. Okay.
Yeah. It's about the same length, but just flipping through, it looks a little bit more exciting. Like it's very like, look, just flipping to one page, I see like some kind of like rat being thing.
Nice. So that's Splinter. That's good. We get a nice little crossover.
Yeah, Splinter.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be cool. Any last final thoughts on this volume? I think we dissected it pretty well.
It was good.
It was very good.
If you're still in the chat, we do have Club Valiant starting in 2.5 hours at this same Bat channel. So we will be going over Bloodshot Volume 2, which I guarantee was G's favorite out of everything we've read so far.
I have high hopes. I think G and Chris liked this one. That's my guess. Don't answer now, but
no. So
come on, Gamma. You gotta love Gamma.
John is on that. What I will say real quick is we do have our website back up. It was down for a while because I didn't know that once you let it go, if you don't pay in time, it shuts it down. And then when you pay it, because we all gathered the monies, they don't put it up for you. You got to go back up and put it back up. Cool stuff. Reorganized some stuff. Judah Rad and some other people have written some articles that are a little dated now, but if you write, hit us up and let us know if you want to post some articles on here that you would like to write in our little bloggity blog. Of course, we have our YouTube channel and all that.
If you like writing blogs week to week, you can have a permanent space on our site.
Yeah.
As long as like you're pretty good, you like doing it, you're not going to get paid, and as long as you're not a right winger or some shit. Yeah. 6 ways SPWs are ruining comics.
For real, Evo? Okay, yeah, hit us up. My favorite part is I added this League of Extraordinary Content Creators section, and it has some of our closest friends on here that you just link straight to them, whether it's Not Near Mint, Fortress Comics, Blurred Without Fear, Eva Webb in the chats, titular characters with Eva Webb, Cypher World, and Next Issue Podcast. So,
also Respawn, Pride or Die has moved to Respawn's channel.
Oh yeah, I should probably put that on there.
So the inaugural Respawn Pride or Die was yesterday. It was really, really good. What was it about again? It was about
I missed it.
fucking
Midnighter.
Midnighter and
Yeah.
Apollo. Yeah, it was great.
Nice.
So I highly recommend subbing Respawn and clicking the bell so that you can get notifications when they go live. It's pretty badass. And speaking of G also participates in Pride or Die, so you'll be able to see your best friend G every time
You
that
are
airs.
all over the place. Pride or Die, Valiant, this,
I'm
and
everywhere.
and
You-
runs the theater room in
You're
our
everywhere.
Discord. So thank you for all your help, G.
If anyone gets famous out of this, it's going to be G. That's just my prediction.
Yeah.
Please no.
This
All
website
right.
looks baller, man.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
I found a little video. I'm sure it's somebody's work, and
It looks like one of those really good MySpaces from back in the day that has
that's
like
what I'm. Yeah, and MySpace with our top 8.
Yeah. You remember when you click on someone's MySpace and it took like 5 minutes to load and you were like, oh, this is going to be a good MySpace.
Oh, yeah. There's probably music with this. This is going to be dope. All right. Awesome. Cool. Yeah. Eva, hit us up. We'll get that rolling. If we've talked about this before and it fell by the wayside, apologies. We suck. But yeah, like if you want to write and just constantly post on there, that would be dope.
Link up with us in collaboration on Discord, and let's talk turkey. Let's talk details.
Ladies, gentlemen, and MBs, that is the end of our show. Don't forget to check out all our socials across the webs. And that's it. Catch us in about 2.5 hours for some Club Valley.
What's up, friendly neighborhood nerds? If you want to hear interviews from industry pros, get first looks, and have access to endless comic content, wake up. Please wake up. You're in a coma. Your mother misses you.